Alright, I'm finally getting around to making this video. This is in response to Rabid Waffles' video called The Music Must Change. And I've skimmed over it a bit. Um, Somewhat political, whatever. Let's get into it. Oh, let me turn the volume up. It's probably pretty low. Alright. Well.
Hello everybody, it's me,
That's
Corbin.
too fucking loud.
Today I wanted to talk about basically just anything on my mind, so this might seem a little spontaneous or rambly. I might lose track of thought, switch the topic very rapidly, so, I'm sorry. It's gonna, might come across, a little ADHD, but,
and I'll be popping in periodically too. Corbin wanted me to kind of contribute any thoughts I had while I'm editing it, so that's what I'll do as well.
I've just been thinking a lot about the state of politics, maybe just in America, I don't know about the world, but a disconnect I feel with a lot of people, and how I'm really uncertain about the direction the country is going in. Sometimes I feel optimistic about it, sometimes I feel really pessimistic about it.
I understand that completely. It's really hard not to be cynical a lot of the time. I mean, hell, that's why my avatar that I had Corbin draw for me on my channel has me dressed as the comedian, because I relate to kind of the cynicism of the comedian, which I know might sound cringe as fuck. But it is hard to try and not be cynical in this day.
Cringe. That's cringe, dude. You're supposed to relate to, Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
And age.
It all just really depends. There's so much going on. I think the philosophy of the world is like rapidly changing. Maybe the first thing I should talk about.
Oh yeah, well that's happened, for a really long time. Older than anybody you ever know, and older than anybody they ever knew.
Is Donald Trump, and the problems that I have with, the things that I've liked about Donald Trump in the past, and why I don't really like him anymore. I don't know if I'd say
Zion Don.
I hate Donald Trump, and I don't want to say that I think he's the worst. He's not the worst option we could have had.
Yeah, I mean, look, I obviously agreed with a lot of what he ran on and what he stood for, and I liked a lot of what he did in his first term, and there was some stuff early on in this term that I was liking, but I've been pretty massively disappointed, and as I said in a previous video on my channel, I think the Trump train has completely derailed. I don't really know if there's any going back from this. There's a lot of problems. He's definitely seems compromised, but we'll get more into that in the video.
Yeah, I was kind of with you on that, initially, like, what was it, 2015. I mean, I was still pretty naive. I was still a kid, but, freshly out of high school. I was in high school during the time, like, his campaign, and then once he was actually elected, it's when I just got out of high school. And, I was in it for the meme war, for, I guess you could call it some kind of retarded version of a culture war. and Trump was, but we were so fatigued at that point. We had a black, retarded president forever, so we were like, finally we get a white guy, and he's not like a neocon, at least so we thought. He's more like against the system. Well, it took like what, 2 to 3 years for him to kind of fail on a lot of the things he promised and not do them, and I just decided that I didn't like him. That was during his first term.
He's not. I don't want to seem ungrateful for the good things that he is doing. But things could be a lot worse.
I mean, yeah, the issues that I have with him are issues that would have happened no matter who else would have won. Any other politician would have done all this shit. The part that makes it fucking disappointing is that it's the guy who's supposed to be an outsider, the guy who's supposed to be different than the others, the guy who showed himself to be against the system, allegedly, for his first term, and while he was running, and in the media, and everything. It's disappointing to see that guy you think he's going up against the machine, to seemingly become a part of it, to become enveloped in it, to become corrupted by it, to become just another cog.
Donald Trump, I think, sort of ran more as a nationalist than he did as your typical Republican. He seemed to be against globalism, and, I mean, really, like, he would say things like America first, make America great again, very nationalist kind of rhetoric, comparable to, Pat Buchanan. I don't know, I feel like that's clearly not who he is. We can see that very clearly now, that he's not a nationalist, and that he's much more willing to work with the system than a lot of his voters have believed, you know, and he clearly doesn't like his voters. He clearly thinks his voters are stupid for caring about, you know, I mean, not just the Epstein list, but the fact he's going back on everything. Like, he's going back on this. He said that we would have no more wars. You know, this peace rhetoric, which
I'm gonna cut him off real quick. So I like what he said, where you know, basically Trump shit on the people that initially got him into office, especially on the first term, and he just, you know, considers them all, you know, criminals or whatever. You know, doesn't give a fuck about them. You can look at January 6th, that incident, and know that he doesn't give a single fuck about them. Like, the people that supported him so heavily, you know, he shits on them now. I mean, that's more than enough reason for me to, I wouldn't go and say hate, but at the same time to not like him and not give a single fuck about him.
I would say it's fair to say that Donald Trump is not a symbol of peace. But they're saying that they want to give. I heard before that they were thinking about giving him a Nobel Peace Prize for bombing.
Well, yeah, because that's just like a Jewish thing.
Iran. Fucking.
What, didn't Einstein get that? Didn't, like, I might be wrong about this. This wouldn't surprise me if this was true. But didn't Einstein, or like either him or Oppenheimer, or maybe both, got the Nobel Peace Prize? So that shit's bogus. It's sort of just like a globalist retard. Well, I don't know. It's like a globalist little retard thing.
It's not really that shocking. They gave Obama a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, there you go. Great example. They gave Obama one.
Prizes when he was literally bombing U.S. citizens in Yemen, which we weren't even at war with. So it's not that surprising. But on top of that, Trump himself ran as like the anti-war guy, right? He's like, I'm going to end the war in Russia and Ukraine. I'm going to end all this stuff in the Middle East. I'm just going to wrap it all up day one, right? And now he's funding Ukraine again. Or at least toying with the idea. Like, he says that he's going to start giving money to Ukraine again and just start fucking funding that. Like, it's a complete 180 on what he said he was going to do with Ukraine. Like, what the hell?
Because that was such a bold decision. I mean, like, oh yeah, like Truman bombed Japan. That was such a bold decision that for 2,000 people, we had to kill, like, 200,000 people. So
he was supposed to build a wall and drain the swamp, and now he's building walls in a swamp and sending anti-Semites to it, and, you know, a few illegals.
Brave. It just seems insane to me. Why would we bomb Iran under the suspicion that they could in the future have nuclear weapons, as if that increases the threat of nuclear war if they have nuclear weapons? I mean, Russia...
Israel's been after Iran for a very long time, and it only took Donald Trump getting in to supposedly bomb this. I don't even know if it happened.
China, India have nuclear weapons, but we should be afraid of Iran for some reason.
Not only that, but North Korea also has nuclear weapons. Like, a lot of countries have nuclear weapons. A lot of them we are hostile with, too. So
yeah, what I meant to say is I don't know if Iran was necessarily... if they necessarily had nuclear weapons, because I'm a big conspiracy theorist. I don't even know if nuclear weapons are real. It's probably just some gay psyop. You know, I don't know. I don't know if they're even real.
Oh, why the fuck is a tiny little country in the Middle East? Why is that a thing? And also, like, when they actually bombed those sites, there doesn't seem to be any, like, radiation and shit you would think from destroying a nuclear site.
There you go. Isn't that weird?
Like, there's a bunch of shit that doesn't add up that definitely leaves you scratching your head and being like, what the fuck?
As if Iran poses some sort of global threat to the world. I don't get it. It just seems like a Zionist thing. It just seems like it's for Israel, not for the global... It doesn't seem like a global threat to me.
And let's be clear, we knew that Trump was, like, pro-Israel and stuff. It was something you kind of grit your teeth at and got annoyed with. But there were signs that maybe he was going to shake it up. Like, there were things where he expressed anger with Netanyahu and disagreements, and there were things that were kind of showing, like...
Yeah, he got really mad at his boyfriend.
Like a small glimmer that...
By the way, Donald Trump's the bottom. He's the bitch.
Maybe he wouldn't be so invested in that foreign nation, right? I think all of us knew that was just kind of going to happen to a degree. We just didn't know to what degree. And I think that it's been to, like, a much more frustrating degree than a lot of us had hoped for. Like, obviously a lot of the, like, white nationalists and much more cynical black-pilled people would have said, yeah, this is obviously what was going to happen. Fair enough. I myself, again, have been pretty cynical for a while. I've been, deep in conspiracy theories since 2012.
Yeah, I resonate with what he's saying. I would say that I'm definitely a white national. Well, I wouldn't consider myself a white nationalist. I'm a little bit different than that. But the black-pilled thing, sure. I mean, it's just if you know it's going to happen, then you're going to tell other people that this is what the fuck is going to happen. If you truly believe that. I'm not a pessimist at all. I know I'm not a doomer, but I definitely think that when it comes to America's politics, that it's just going to have to crash and burn. There's no other way. Everyone is so blackmailed, infiltrated. Every agency has been created to be against the average American citizen, and you basically just treat them like cattle. And it's been around for so fucking long, and the people that I'll put it this way: the founding stock of the United States, if they saw what our country looked like now, they would have just left. they would have just like said, you know what, it's not gonna work. We're gonna turn into a fucking joke. We're gonna turn into a giant Walmart USA. That's fucking Weimart. It's Weimar Republic. Let's call it Weimart.
I'm not exactly one who thinks that politics is all rah-rah go and that things are going to all be all right, but there was a little shred of hope, and a lot of that seems to have been crushed, and it's really frustrating.
And people will say, well, they say death to America. I mean, Russians say death to America. I mean, China says death to America. I mean, a lot of these other countries hate us. We know the entire world hates America. So why are we singling out Iran for hating America? Why do we hate Muslims in particular when, if there's a threat of immigration in our country, maybe, things are different in Europe, but in America, I don't think Muslims are really a big threat to us.
That's a hard disagree. Muslims culturally are fucked. They're bad. They're probably not on the same level of Jews in the way that they're not going to like sneakily fuck with that, like, blackmail people and be very subversive and that kind of thing. They're more on the surface, and they like advocate rape. They're pedophiles. They're all inbred. Yeah, they're bad. There's no doubt about it. The only people that are good are European white Christians that are just inherently good. Not even African Christians. Fucking they come over here and they do the same shit.
There's much worse immigrants coming to the country, and Donald Trump wants to bring in Chinese and Indians. So, I mean, how is that? Is that good for America?
And I myself,
I'm a little bit partial to the Chinese only because they don't contribute to any crime. Indians, on the other hand, are sex pests for the most part, but and Pakis and all of them. But I think that they really don't belong here. The Chinese don't, but it's not the worst thing. It's definitely not the worst thing. I mean, the downside would be taking over jobs that we can do ourselves. So I still think they shouldn't come over.
I'm very anti-immigration, more so than a lot of people even. I don't even think we should be bringing in Europeans. I think we absolutely need to just close down, at least for a decade.
Yeah, base take. I agree. We don't even need Europeans in here. We have enough people.
To reassess, immigration itself, I'm pretty wholesale against. I think in Europe, since Corbyn isn't as aware of this, maybe Europe actually does have a pretty bad Muslim problem with acid attacks and people getting run over with trucks and rape gangs and stuff like that. And so we don't want to become that either. But I also don't think it is good to import all these Chinese and Indians and stuff like that into the workforce and into the country and affect the culture in such a way, because it's always going to affect the culture and the economy and everything, and it's going to just absolutely fuck with everything. And I think that we need to, at the very least, take a break from it. I, again, think that we should focus on our own country, but again, you get my point.
Okay, so a point I was going to bring up with this is, people like to say, well, the birth rates. It's the biggest fucking New World Order bullshit, globalist bullshit. It's the birth rates. The birth rate problem is because of women. I mean, it's not there's literally no way around it. And if you fix women, And when I say fix, I mean remove them from the realm of things that men only should be doing, then the birth rate problem is totally changed. And also, you know, you're going to fix your economy, things like that, they're going to improve enough when you've got women in the house, you know, back to what they should be doing, not supposedly liberated. It's like, yeah, I can liberate you from your fucking body by cutting your head off, you know what I mean? Same thing.
It's not really a surprise that Donald Trump would care more about the millionaires and billionaires in this country than he'd care about working class people. I don't think that part is a surprise, but him going back on his nationalist rhetoric and him really working on behalf of the Zionists and the people that were against Trump, really. And
it's not just Zionists, by the way, because I think that a few of the people that funded him in his most recent term are anti-Zionists. It's just Jews.
Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk, people that didn't support Trump in the beginning. I mean, even you know, one of Donald Trump's lowest voter bases was Jewish people. I mean, they didn't vote. They didn't want to vote for Trump. They called him a Nazi, and said that he was a threat to Jewish people.
Oy vey, he's a Nazi. He doesn't think that BLM. He thinks BLM is bad. Oy vey.
Now they're all very gung ho for him. You see Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk are super pro Trump now because of him bombing Iran, but also because
he's their bitch.
Yeah, him not releasing the Epstein list. They love that too. It'd be pretty suspicious.
Yeah, because they're all related to some type of Mossad person or somebody who is associated with. Like Ben Shapiro is a great example. I don't think he's directly a Mossad agent, but he's what they call a pseudonym, which is somebody that Mossad will use whenever they come over to the United States, and they will basically pave the way for them while they're here. And they're like an asset, so in a way they kind of are a Mossad agent. They're just not directly, in Mossad.
The Epstein thing, that was a pretty fucking big one. Like, something that's super frustrating about this is, number one, obviously the left has been saying for a long time, Trump's on the list. And there's a lot of people on the right who are like, no, he's not. But it's like, this ain't a good look. This is absolutely giving validation to that, right? And no matter which way you spin it, there's no good way out of this. I don't think he's on the list, per se. I don't know. He very well might be, right? And he's not doing himself any fucking favors. And the only reason I even hold out that little tiny benefit of the doubt saying I don't think he is because he ran so hard on it. Now, maybe you could argue, since he's known for the 4D chess trademark, maybe that's all that was, right? Maybe he's like, well, if I'm so vocal about it...
The 4D chess thing is just fake and gay.
At the start, they won't even suspect, right? And maybe that's kind of the game they're going for, right? I don't fucking know. I'm not making any claims to that. I don't think he's on it just because they seem to be making progress, and then something happened, and then not only with that, but then he completely 180'd on everything. And that's why I'm like, I think he's compromised. I think they threatened him, they bought him, they blackmailed him with something, again, whether it be something to do with the list, or something else they got him on, or something they made up. Even there's so many things it could be. Like, that's the frustration, is the uncertainty of not knowing about it. But that's the thing with these whole clandestine operations, is you're not supposed to fucking know, and it's really, really frustrating that these evil groups are going and carrying out these things.
That the Zionist politicians are the ones that love him most right now, and the neoconservatives are very much in love with him. When most people, I think, that voted for Trump, voted for him because they thought he was going to be more of a paleo-conservative. They believed he was going to be more of a nationalist, America first. Which America first, if you don't know, America first was a term that's always been considered anti-Semitic in America. If you look, like Dr. Seuss would make cartoons portraying America first politicians as Nazis.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, that was like an early. That was an early like Nazi kind of thing. Yeah.
Pretty fucking crazy that just the concept of a country.
The whole being, like that's like their ultimate weapon, right? Is just you're a Nazi. I mean, they even created the word Nazi. They created that term. It wasn't like. That was not what the NSDAP were calling themselves in Germany. They weren't calling themselves Nazis or anything. It was just like they created that term to be slanderous. So anybody who's like, yeah, I'm a Nazi, it's like you might as well be calling yourself a faggot. That's like a derogatory term,
wanting to put its own interests first is somehow considered.
It's like yo, I'm a nigga. In some ways, it's kind of funny because you're just openly, accepting they're like trying to deplatform you and brandish you as evil, and you're just like laughing at them and saying, yeah, it's me. So it's kind of good, but at the same time, yeah, I'm so sick of hearing the Nazi shit, the anti-Semite shit. It's just gay. It's fucking gay.
Considered immediately against the interests of another country. Very curious. Like, it's like that other country has to be first, right? Because again, they have a lot of influence. Let's just say that, right?
Yeah, I should make a hat that says "Make Israel Great Again."
They're definitely very, very involved at the core and roots of our government, and it's frustrating as all fuck, because I don't think we should be involved with, like, any of these foreign nations in this way. I think basically we should just have trade and travel and shit like that. That's how I think we should cooperate with other countries. I don't think they should have their hooks ingrained so deep, but it goes back so far into history. It's such a hard and frustrating thing.
Henry Ford was one of the earlier people to use the term America First before, Pat Buchanan even used the term. It's weird that Donald Trump used a lot of this kind of rhetoric if it wasn't his intention. I would say the case
Henry Ford is based. A true American hero.
Now would be either that he's threatened or, he's paid for.
Sadly, he's rolling in his fucking grave right now. He's been doing it for a while.
That he's paid for by these lots of these Zionists. So that's really where his interest is, and this was probably inevitable because he was always going to get into these Zionist circles. It was kind of an inevitability. While I like what ICE is doing, I think that getting illegals out of the country is one of the most important things that Donald Trump could be doing, because under Biden, 4 million illegal immigrants came in. That's a pretty big deal. People that come into this country, if the way they come into this country is illegally, then that means the first thing that they did as an American was commit a crime. The first thing...
Yeah, I can make a whole video about what I believe to be the mental gymnastics and just thought process of Mexicans, and especially when it comes to illegal immigration. I can do a whole video. I've been around enough Mexicans to tell you that they're insane. Like, the way they look at this is fucking crazy. And it makes sense when you, this is a conspiracy theory that's proven true, but it makes sense when you find out that, when Mexicans go do a 23andMe, they always have a little bit of, they have a little bit of Jewish in them every single time. Just saying, there's something to that.
Before anything else, they were criminals when they came in. Donald Trump himself even says that if people come in legally, it doesn't matter how many people come in. As many people that want to come in legally as possible is good in his eyes.
Yeah, I was about to interject on that. You know what? I'm just gonna let it play. I gotta do that video though. I gotta do a why all Mexicans, illegal or illegal, should be deported.
I think that he's of the same idea of these other neoconservatives, that America is an idea and not a people, and that the people who were born in this country, or the people that have more ancestral roots in this country, not that I'm saying that matters. I understand that this is a country founded by immigrants, but I think...
That's such a gay thing. No. We didn't immigrate here. We came here. The people that were here were savage retards, and we created the country. They were like, we didn't come here and it was like there was already stuff that was established. They were living in like skin tents. They're living in like buffalo skin tents. They're using flint to make tools. Some shit that we don't even have recorded. Like that was prehistory for us. And they're doing it while we have, muskets. Like, we have, actual technology. But hey, they told us how to survive here. If you go off of, the Maxwell House books that we learned we read from in school. Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, the ones that he, put out. Yeah, if you read that, then natives told us everything. It's fucking bullshit. They were savages. They're retarded. We weren't immigrants. The original founding stock of the United States were not immigrants. They were fucking settlers. The natives are mad gay. And I don't like anybody who says, yeah, but But look what they believed in. I'm like, they believed that we lived on a giant turtle. They're fucking retarded faggots.
People will use that argument dishonestly because they'll say, oh, well, this place used to belong to the Native Americans, and when we showed up, we killed the Native Americans and we took their...
I call them savages. I don't even call them Native Americans. I call them Redskins. I call them fucking fauna.
land. They say this as an argument for why immigration is good, but if you view that as a bad thing, why would you use that as an argument for why immigration is good? It's very bizarre. It's like, it's only okay if it's happening to white people. It was wrong because it happened to Native Americans, but if it's us, like our culture is replaced and we're killed, that it's not as important. By this same logic, the Native Americans should have just let us come in. The Native Americans shouldn't have been violent towards us, and they should have let us just have their land. If you really believe that.
Well, I kind of agree that they should have just let us have their land. But we had to kill them because they're monsters, so...
Nation of immigrants thing is such a tired argument for me. Because
Thank you. Okay, finally some fucking sense. Thanks, paste.
Because first off, it was nearly 250 fucking years ago. Like, first off, the Native Americans, I think, had every right to defend their own land and things like that, but they lost.
It's not... That can't be judged by us. Maybe in their own terms they had every right. But that can't be judged by us. I mean, it's like... They were pieces of shit. We tried being friendly. Look, if you look it up, the original people tried making peace with the natives, and the natives did everything in their power to, like, kill us. To the Indian giver. That's that word or that phrase comes from history. It's not like that just made that up. Oh, it's just a like racist slur. No, they did that. We would help them out, and then they would just like they'd fucking sabotage us. It almost makes me want to believe that they are Jewish as well. That's like a whole theory, by the way. If you look that up, it's like a conspiracy theory that Native Americans are Jews. But makes me want to believe it because they did that kind of shit, and then we said, okay, well, if you're gonna be this way, we're gonna kill all of you and force you to leave. There you go. But we're oppressed, man. What the fuck? You killed all of us for no reason. No, we killed you because you're scum. Hate to break it to you, and this is people that had more morals than me, and these are like Puritan, like hardcore Christians, you know what I mean? They believe that everybody was equal under God, all this stuff, and they got fucking fed up. Imagine if it was people like me, we would have just killed them immediately. We were like, oh yeah, you just killed my wife. Well, you're all gonna die.
And the thing is people say, oh, it's a nation of immigrants. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you just bring everybody in. Because the immigrants...
It's a melting pot. Hey, yo, the whole country's just a fucking big melting pot. Well, yo, goyim, you're all goyim. You're all the same. I mean, come on, look at you. Everybody's equal unto God, except us. We're chosen. No, hey, you guys aren't chosen. Faggot shit.
Immigrants that came here in the first place were a subgroup. They were one culture within the UK that didn't like the current culture in the UK, pretty much for religious reasons. The Church of England and things like that. And so it was a lot of like-minded, mostly related, and communal people, right? It was like a community, a large community of people that came over to the U.S. to found it. And again, the natives had every right to defend themselves too. And I do think there was a lot of problems in their culture, because not all cultures are equal either. There was, human sacrifice and all sorts of other fucked up shit.
Thank you. Not all cultures are equal. Our culture was clearly better than theirs. By our terms, and we were the ones that held power at this time, so we had to, we had to do what we had to do. There you go.
And there was aggression on both sides quite a bit. It's just obviously when it came to the matter of force, they were outmatched by the settlers. But, again, that's so far in the history that I'm tired of hearing that fucking argument. Again, I'm not saying that everyone who is here now should be gone that came here legally and all that, right? The illegal ones, yeah, kick them the fuck out. Like I said, I don't care.
I kind of am. I think that it's very obvious that certain types of people cause more problems in this country than benefit it. And if we got rid of them, which I don't think this will happen, I think this will require all of the infrastructure and everything to collapse due to these people overwhelming the original stock, and we'll say whites, for everything to get so fucked up that it collapses, sort of like South Africa. It might take that, and the communes that are being formed, the communities that are being formed that are white only, are going to be the ones who have to pick up the pieces after they've all killed themselves off because they're too retarded. I mean, that is what I think. I kind of agree in a certain sense, but indirectly with what he's saying. It's just, you can't get rid of them all. You can't. There is no legal, politically legal solution to getting rid of the problem. They're stuck. They're fucking stuck here. We're stuck here with them, and we just have to ride the fucking dragon, because we can't do anything. You're just, what are you, a normal guy? You can't fucking do anything about it.
As much about the status of legal versus illegal, but on a matter of principle, you obviously can't just you can't oust everyone at once, right? Who came here on the correct terms and stuff like that. So although,
yeah, exactly, it's just not going to happen. You can be an idealist, but when reality sets in,
I think that legal immigration is bad as well, just because it dilutes the culture, and it affects the workplace and the economy and so many other things. Even though I think that doesn't mean I think we need to uproot everybody, because obviously all of our families go back a few generations. Some have been here a long time, others not as many. But obviously I think that settlers and people who immigrated here in the past, it was a little bit different because there was a purpose, right? Because
I think the original stock set in rules to make it where the people that came in would be the right type of people. And I mean, I can give a personal anecdote. I'm I think a third or fourth generation American. I'm not like, I do have some founding stock from my mom's side, but my father's side, no, it's Irish. It's Irish. They came over here and they worked their ass off in Texas in mines and stuff, and then created an existence for themselves. But so I think that they had set in stone the type of people, like the founding stock had set in stone the type of people that they wanted to come over here, and you had to earn your fucking keep. And if you were problematic, if you were an issue, if you were doing crimes or anything like that, then they didn't like it. And you can look at historical events to figure out the people they didn't like. The ones that came over into New York during the potato famine, those are Irish, but guess what? They were fucking, a lot of them were pieces of shit. They were scum. And the Italians as well. Like, a lot of them were involved with the mafia and things like that, and they didn't want that type of people coming over.
Problem I have with modern day immigration is there's no expectation to assimilate, right? There's no expectation to actually become part of the American culture.
That's so important, assimilation, and that's what my family did. I know for a fact they did that. They assimilated and they became Americans when they came over here. They gave up not all of their cultural ties to Ireland. I mean, I have family in Australia that immigrated from Ireland there. But for I'm sure political and religious reasons, but yeah, assimilation is the key. If you cannot assimilate, if you don't have enough in common with the native stock of a country, of a people, and you try to go there and not assimilate, you just, like Indians, Chinese, etc., blacks, of course, if you can't assimilate, then you don't belong there. It's really that fucking simple.
Immigrants that came over here in the past actually didn't. For instance, my great-grandfather came over here from Italy, and once his parents died, he refused to ever speak Italian again, which is why I don't know Italian.
Based. That's why I don't know any. Well, I know some Irish, but that's from me looking it up. But I don't know any of the shit he was talking about.
And the reason for that is it's like, we're in America, we're speaking English here. That is the language here. I don't need to speak Italian anymore. I only did it here, translate for my parents, pretty much. That was his whole thing. And so...
That's extremely based. That's how it... See, that's how it was meant to be. There you go.
I think that that kind of thing is very different than the people who come here from Venezuela, and they're just claiming asylum and then sending money back home so they can eventually fuck off back there and basically have just played the system.
Yeah, but they also, here's another thing. This is why the legal and illegal people here are technically the enemies of the United States, is they form communities here that are isolationist from everybody else. You if you don't speak Spanish, you're not involved with their community. They're foreign invaders. You're supposed to assimilate, and if you cannot assimilate, and this is on a group level, this is not like on a personal level, like, oh, I know a Mexican guy who came over here, he's just like us. That's faggot shit. No, it's like on a group level, because you guarantee that he has family members that have came over here that are just like, I'm not learning fucking English because I don't have to. I can live in this little isolated community with a bunch of Mexicans, Venezuelans, whoever, Spanish speakers, and not have to deal with anybody else. And, accrue money and send it back over to my family in the other country. It's like they're colonizing us right now in a way through legal loopholes. It's fucked up.
Because that's a lot of what we have now, is just leeching on the system rather than actually trying to be a part of the culture. And on top of that, they don't even take the fucking time to learn the language. I don't think it should be legal to get a job in the U.S. if you don't speak English. It's so fucking frustrating.
Speak English or die. That's all I gotta say.
To have all these people that you're supposed to, guide or, direct if you're, a supervisor and things like that, and they don't understand what the hell you're saying. And that could be a safety issue, too. Let's say you're warning them about hazards in the workplace. Well, if they don't fucking understand you, they don't fucking understand you. It's really frustrating. So, although I say I'm very, very anti-immigration, that doesn't mean I think that it was always and always will be bad. I think there have been good instances of it in the past. And I think that there are roots in certain things. And I think ones that assimilate here are better off than ones that don't. Like I said, like I've said in the past, I'd much rather have a bunch of Cubans that escaped from Castro coming over here, because they're very anti-communist and very much wanted to assimilate into the culture a lot more, and they're pretty based, as opposed...
This is funny. So, the original Cubans that came over here were actually white Cubans. And because of Castro, his communist bullshit views and takeover and whatnot, and what he was putting into the country, you had a lot of these families that had money being attacked and stuff like that from the black or native or whatever you want to call them, mestizo, the brown people in Cuba. So they came over here, and I know a few Cubans that their grandparents told them stories about this. It was because they were white. So I agree. I don't think most Cubans now, if they come over here, they're just like mutts. They shouldn't be over here. They're not going to assimilate culturally. I don't even think the original ones did, let's be honest. They made Little Havana, that kind of shit. I don't think that's... And unless they can assimilate, they can't stay. I'll put it that way. That's that simple.
Opposed to a bunch of fucking Europeans who were very, socialistic, pro-diversity, pro-multiculturalism in this day and age. Again, Europe has great roots and great...
That's just due to brainwashing. I think that Europe is kind of fucked. Not all of it. I mean, you have countries like Poland. I would, if we had to get some kind of immigration going for any reason, Poland would probably be the first place I would say is fine, and then of course Ireland. Not due to bias, believe it or not, just due to them, getting sick of what's going on in their own country with the invaders and whatnot. And the native English, I would say, would be probably the top three. Really anywhere, if I think that's going to end up happening to a degree. I've met a few Brits personally where I live that came over here because they're basically living in a 1984 world where they can't do anything. They're monitored 24/8. And they can't do anything, and they come over here and they're like, oh shit. Especially where I live in the South, where you actually have, constitutional carry. You can basically do whatever you want. There's actual freedom. There's constitutional freedom to a degree. But I get what he's saying, though.
History in the past. I'm not saying, oh, let's shit on Europe, because Europe had a great and storied history, and a lot of Europeans are sick of the fact that that's been diluted as well.
Yeah, okay, so basically what I just said. I gotta quit stopping this. I'm just cutting them off over and over again like a dick.
But there are a bunch of normie Europeans that would just contribute to the problem. Again, I'm not even without empathy for illegal immigrants to a degree, but there's so much fatigue of it because...
Oh, I am. I definitely am. You know, they have a reason for coming over here because they know we can be exploited. That's why illegal immigration is almost just an American issue now. Like, okay, who's illegally immigrating anywhere else? No, they're coming here because they can exploit it. And the people that are illegally immigrating are not, like, you're not getting like a Chinese illegal immigrant. It's not fucking happening. And if it is, it's like the most rare thing. A European illegal immigrant. I mean, you can cherry pick, but they're all coming from South America. They all have a similar hive mind belief that we can exploit the U.S. Sickening.
Because it's so prevalent of a problem and so just overlooked, and you hear the same tired old arguments. Like, I'm not without empathy for these people, but at the same time, they're literally harming the country and society that I'm a part of. They're harming the economy. They're harming the way that the system is run. They're harming things like the vote count and census and stuff like that. Like, they are just a net...
I had to get away from... Let's just insert a country I don't know anything about because I don't fucking care about it because they're all third world trash. I had to get away from Venezuela. Okay, so why don't the men try to battle the system in any degree? Are they just they're that pussy? Because I can tell you that with European societies, when the country gets corrupt, the first thing they do is try to fight it. The first fucking thing they do is try to do some type of revolution or fight the people that are fucking with them. So you guys run away immediately. That's a problem with you. It's that simple. That's a problem with you. You're running away. You're fucking... Yeah. We're just gonna go to the U.S. and be fucking leeches and be parasites on the system because our country's bad. You guys are faggots. Like, anytime I see a Venezuelan or a Mexican, I just want to fucking spit on them. Straight up. I'm like, you guys are such pussies that you can't fix anything yourselves. We don't have no power, shit. Like, we don't got no... How do you think the people that have power there got it? It's by you guys being the biggest bitches of all time. You guys are fucking weak. And you come over here, but who's gonna build your house, fool? I'm like, probably everybody. Probably everybody who's already over here. And they're not gonna be like fucking smoking crack and like raping. So yeah, they're probably better. You came over here, you're fucking retarded. I don't know. I have zero sympathy for anybody that comes over here that's from South, like Central America or South America. They're scum to me. I hate them.
Negative to it. Again, although I say, I am against even legal immigration to a degree, I think we need to crack down on that too. Right? I'm pretty against immigration just wholesale. At the very least, we need to do something about the ones that are breaking the fucking law coming here in the first place. Again, I am very much against legal immigration too. Like I said, I cannot stress that enough. And again, I think that it is something we need to at least reassess. And there is contextual things, right? Like I said, ones that have assimilated, ones that have been here for generations, things like that, right? Like, I think that there is nuance to it, but it's so hard to have that discussion with all the fucking fatigue that we run into because it's treated with, like, such non-care. People just are fine with it and say, oh, no human is illegal. And it's like, dude, you're not understanding the big picture and why it's making the country, the economy, the culture, and everything else worse.
Like, I don't really believe in that ancestral land thing. Like, what Israel is doing, like, justifying all of this, all of these killings with sort of this, oh, this land was promised to us, or this land is ancestral to us. I mean, to me, that's the same.
It's using an abstract idea that they have personally to persecute somebody that has actually inhabited the land for a long amount of time. It's really that simple. They're using they're using their coercion and subverse, like their infiltration in other societies to gain gain land illegally. In a way, they're demons. What can I tell you?
Same as the kind of arguments the Nazis would use. You know, the Nazis used the Othala rune. And what does the Othala rune mean? It means that ancestral land can be taken back at any time, that European land belongs to the Europeans. So I don't see how this...
The difference with that is that the Jews have never occupied that land ever for any length of time. And they're just making all this shit up so that they have like a HQ. It's heavily documented with archaeological evidence that Europeans have been in Europe forever. That's literally, it's like you're fighting against reality, you know.
Rhetoric is different there.
I wouldn't bring up that argument when it gets that retarded. I just wouldn't do it.
But Donald Trump doesn't really, you know, he's going completely against his own voter base. His own voter, I think people wanted him because mainly for the issue, they didn't want us to go to war. They didn't like these globalist issues. He ran on that. He ran on being America first and getting out of global conflicts. He's really just, you know, the same as Bush or Reagan. He's not, I mean, what I would say a real conservative. I think the word paleo-conservative is a kind of a redundant word, you know, to say, oh, these people are ancient, is why they use the word paleo, to say, oh, these are ancient conservatives, their ideas are old and outdated. But that's what the whole point of conservatism is. If you don't believe that we should actually conserve the way things used to be, then you're not really a conservative.
Well, the whole joke is that conservatives don't conserve anything, and I agree with that, and I think that the two-party system is, you're destined to fail. You know, we have to create new parties. This is not the first time this has had to have been done. I mean, what did we have back in the day? The Whig Party, something else. I mean, you eventually get to a point where you're like, the conservatives are so cucked and compromised that a new party politically has to be created that over time obtains enough power to rival them. It's sort of the American way, you know. It's the people have to come up against the tyrannical freaks that end up running everything, and the Republicans and the Democrats are both freaks. So if you're voting in on either of those bases, even if you're doing like third party shit, it doesn't matter. You're retarded. Like independents, who gives a fuck? They're all compromised. You have to create your own party. Straight up, you have to vote somebody in. You know, it's really that way. And then if they don't get in, then you start to see that you have to take a revolutionary action. Of course, nobody's going to do this now because we're all fucked. So the system just has to crash. But you know,
if you want to support this kind of global democratization, yeah, you can't really call yourself a conservative. And I have a problem with the Republican Party. That they are a party for bigger government. And a lot of people say, no, it's the Democrats that are for bigger government. They're both for bigger government. They're the same. Really, they're the same party. They're both for Democratic Republic, and they're both for immigration. They're both for, the neo.
Yeah, they're both for democracy. That should tell you all you need to know.
Cons are for abortion as well. The only thing that they want to conserve is.
Yeah, they're for abortion. I wonder why. It's almost like there's certain people that like to abort children, and they're both bought out by them. Interesting.
Money. The only thing that, to them, conservatism is just a purely economical thing. It doesn't really mean anything. America is just an idea. As long as you adopt this idea of liberty and freedom and capitalism or whatever, if you believe in these ideas, then that makes you an American.
Obviously, a lot of those ideas I like. For instance, I'm not really for democracy. Democracy is just a fallacy in general. A republic makes more sense because, you know, it is layered and takes into account various different factors, such as, you know, population-dense areas not having control of everywhere, right? So that New York and California aren't controlling everywhere, so that people in Wyoming still have a say, that kind of thing, right? But obviously...
And this is an ancient, tried-and-true method to get that that level of balance. So yeah, republics are good.
It is still a very flawed system, and I'm not necessarily in favor of the way it is either.
Yeah, I get what he's saying. I kind of am in favor for republics, though.
Obviously, things like liberty and capitalism and freedom and these are things I like, right? These are concepts I like. But the problem is they're just platitudes, and there's no real value system behind it, and no real oomph to it. Like, there's no actual plan or anything like that either. And the type of capitalism we have isn't even like real capitalism. Like, I know it sounds cringe as hell. It almost sounds like a commie saying the whole communism thing hasn't been tried, but with the capitalist version, saying real capitalism hasn't been tried. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that right now the way that it's structured with the incestuous relationship between corporations and the governments is the problem. That's why the capitalism we have here isn't like good capitalism, right? Like, it's not actually like free trade or anything like that, right? Like, what it is it's just corporate cronies making, deals with the government for bailouts and shit, and having these cliques and this sort of inroads where they can pull up the fucking ladder so no one else can get it, and then they get a bunch of laws passed that they can avoid because they get bailouts from the government. So
yeah, it's shit that in the past they tried to make efforts to prevent, and now they've all been worked around because they have so many people within the system to be like, oh no, you can do that. Yeah, which is why capitalism inevitably fails, and we just have to figure out a new ism. It's simple as that. Figure out a new fucking ism. A lot of the things that capitalism does are good. I'm not gonna lie. There's like a lot of good things that capitalism provides for people, but it's a flawed system, and we can build upon it, and nobody wants to do that.
Again, the capitalism we have here isn't like actual like the way it should be with capitalism, because I'm very capitalist. I hate socialism in basically every form. But nevertheless, the kind we have isn't the way it's supposed to be, and that's the case with a lot of things. Insurance companies and things like that have deals with governments and shit like that. That's very like bad. Like, no monopoly has ever existed.
It's very easily exploitable. Capitalism is very easy to infiltrate in a subversive way. And that's why I'm not a capitalist. That's why I think that there's a way to create a new form of like an economical system that uses the things that are good within capitalism, but also is like knowledgeable of ways that it has been compromised and has measures to prevent that.
Without support from the state. And that's something that a lot of people overlook when they bitch about monopolies. And, it is good to bitch about monopolies, too, to a degree. I think if they arise naturally, it's going to be different than if the state helps them.
Yep. Here you go. What is arising naturally? What is that based upon, I'll let you figure that out.
Because, again, no monopoly is able to sustain itself without state support. But nevertheless, the problem is these are platitudes. Just, a freedom, a capitalism. Like, there's not any actual, like, thought behind it. It's just platitudes, and that's the problem.
And Charlie Kirk himself even said that Israel matters as land because it is destined in the Bible, which it isn't. Israel.
So anything that Charlie Kirk says, it might as well be like a fucking schizophrenic nigger on a park bench, wiping his shit all over his face, talking about how Jesus told him to do it. It's insane, and Charlie Kirk is a faggot. There you go. So who cares what he says?
The Bible is referring to a person and the people under him. Israel is supposed to be like the church.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be a piece of land. In Israel as a state has only existed since the 40s. So this
man's word does not inherently mean anything.
Zionist propaganda. It's dishonest.
Israel in the Bible referred to Jacob. Jacob was Israel, and then his children were the people of Israel, or the Israelites, right? That's what it was. It was very specific. Now, there was promised land and stuff like that in Exodus, right? But that was just to get them out of slavery and get them to prosperity. It doesn't mean the land itself is the part that is important. So that's the part that's really frustrating. And then if you take into account the New Testament, the church is supposed to be Israel, right? The people of the church are supposed to be the people of Israel. Not to mention, there were 12 tribes of Israel. Not just one, but for whatever reason, the one is the one that gets attention.
And, the Epstein list is a pretty big deal because, all these people were saying how important it was, and we knew that the Epstein list was real. Dan Bongino promoted the idea that this Epstein...
So, when they say the Epstein list, it's important not to dumb it down. Because I guess a lot of people think that the way these systems run is they just have a list Like they have a sheet of paper where it shows this guy came here. No, the list is a network of people that they have documented visiting Epstein's Island. Okay? This means that they have had to run other information and to figure out, okay, who's taken a flight here, who's met up with Epstein and then gotten on his flight, etc. Therefore, the list, like releasing the list, first of all, I've seen a few of the leaks that happened early on with this, and it's basically all people connected to Israeli intelligence, and so basically every American politician and their families. But it's not like running off names, and I thought it was so funny because I used to be on Twitter, and the way they thought it worked was it was just like a list of names. I'm like, no, this is people that are connected to certain other people, and there's a weird, like, there's a connection. That's all it is. Now with Trump, there's so many people that he has met up with, and not only met up with, went with on flights that probably ended up at Epstein's Island, that there's no doubt he was there all the time. You know, not to mention like Obama, these people, there's so many. You have to look at it. You have to look at the network. And I don't even know if you can find it now. It used to be a thing, like it was a WikiLeaks thing. But when you look that up, you're like, okay, so every American politician in the past 60 fucking years is a freak that went onto his island. Who knows what they did? There you go.
Epstein list was real, and now he's saying that it wasn't real.
Pam Bondi literally said she had it on her desk, ready to review.
You can't have, like, that's a crazy thing to say. What she had was probably 40 pieces of paper with evidence that he had been in contact with Epstein to the point of going over to the island due to flight logs and whatnot. That's what she had. It wasn't like, oh, they got the sheet. Yo, they got the book.
Donald Trump is going back on so many things, and I don't want to seem ungrateful because I like that, you know.
It's fucking 2025, dickhead. Like, it works in a totally different way.
What ICE has been doing, and I like that he released the JFK files, and that he's done good things, but really he's doing so many things wrong that it doesn't really. How many things is he going to do wrong that the things that he has done that are good just don't matter anymore? You know, he's still got a lot of time left to screw things up even worse. You know, he's got several years left. How much is he going to go back on? How much is he going to change? And it just goes to show that politicians, they make all these promises that they can't possibly deliver. And they want to change the system, but the system is kind of just set the way it is. I don't think there is any change in it because it's all related to money, and that's...
Now he sees. This nigga took the red pill. Alright, Rabid Waffles. You can either take the blue pill and go back to your working at your office job, working at digging holes, or you can take the red pill and see how far the rabbit hole goes. The ditch hole goes. He's starting to get it. He's starting to get it that there's no solution. It's all demonic shit, and people are so easily bought. There you go.
All that really matters to these people, they don't really care about working class people, or if...
No, they don't care about you, man. You're a slave to them.
Real Americans are going to even exist 50 years from now. It's not really relevant. As long as...
You could be the most freakish mutant of all time. You could be trans, non-binary, 7 different races. Fucking... You got your dick cut off, but you got it reattached, and, you know, you're on 20 different medications mentally. You're slurping down fucking Mountain Dew. look, as long as if you're enslaved to them, if you're their bitch, that's all that matters, because that's their end goal, is total global domination of everybody. So, yeah, they don't give a fuck at all.
In their mind, the people that come in believe in American ideals. It doesn't really matter. And
They don't believe in them.
and it's really bizarre that he would bomb Iran and then say that he wanted to give like millions and millions of dollars to Iran. I don't really understand what Donald Trump is thinking right now. You can never.
Trump is the elite. And I know this is like a conspiracy theory thing, but the elite believe themselves to be they want to, the people they bow down to are so insane and crazy that they believe that everybody else beneath them is a slave, and they want to be on top of that. Like they think everything that's happening right now is inevitable, and that they'll win. So, to them, you are just a bug. They don't give a fuck about you. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, or whatever it is. They have the money, so they have the power, right? That's the mentality, and yeah, Trump is definitely subscribed to that belief system, and it's obvious.
Never really know, because he doesn't. It's not like he can be honest and tell us what his plan is, because that would mess up his plan, and you don't really know what he's going.
Right? Yeah, he can't be honest. Well, it probably means he's demonic. There you go.
Going through as a president, you don't know who's talking in his ear, what his strategy is, because he doesn't want people to know what he's really doing, because that's the whole point of a real political strategy, isn't it? I mean, like Otto von Bismarck would write letters to Napoleon III and the Kaiser Wilhelm II, basically insulting each other because he wanted to start a war so that he can get more land, and I think that kind of just defined, I think real political strategy has defined modern politics, and it's become very Machiavellian, and you can never really know what politicians think. They can't be honest about anything.
It's not Machiavellian, it's just, it's it's looking down at everybody that they're supposed to be supporting and be a representative of, and thinking, okay, so they're a bug. they're a slave, and it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do what I'm told to do, and they're going to let me be above them. It's that simple.
Because that would reveal the strategy. So, it's...
By the way, nice Beavis and Butthead gameplay. It's like, I don't even know what the fuck's going on here. It's like a filter. This looks like ass.
All really a mystery. I think Pat Buchanan would have been a far better president. And a lot of people like Ronald Reagan and want another Ronald Reagan. I want another Nixon, if anything. I think Nixon, it was a better example of a Republican president.
I want fucking Oscar Wagner to be the president. We're gonna revive him. He's gonna be fucking Wagnerstein. Franken Wagner. We're gonna make him the new president of the United States, and he's gonna, fix everything, because he's gonna say, well, okay, so we're gonna kill everybody who sucks, and then everybody who doesn't is good. And they'll try to assassinate him. He'll have like 1,000 ninja hitmen,
I agree. There's a lot of stuff said about Nixon, and there's a lot of things he did I didn't agree with too. But I think Nixon is easily like the most underrated president.
And I think that what conservative means doesn't really matter anymore, the same way that what fascism means doesn't really matter anymore. Fascism today it seems to just mean police brutality or authoritarianism. Words don't really seem to be clearly defined anymore.
That's true. It's the word war. Yeah, fascism. The funny thing about fascism is faggot and fash are like the same thing. A bundle of sticks. It's people are so stupid and are so brainwashed, and the people that are against these things only want to be rebellious. They are the easily exploited youth, and if they're not youth, then they are youthfully minded populi. And it's you can exploit them. You can just make them say, well, I don't like being told what to do. I listen to Rage Against the Machine all day. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't. It's like, okay, so you can just exploit these people because they're retarded. There you go. You can get a bunch of anarchists that have a fucking... They went to Hot Topic and got an anarchist belt buckle. You can tell them that Baskin Robbins is exploiting them and they'll go fucking break the windows out. You know, that's like George Soros. That's what he does. He just exploits retards. Like people that have been demoralized and destroyed mentally. You can just exploit them and say, hey, go do this for me. Because they're fascists. You know, that just means you're a target for retards. That's what that means. You know, I agree though. It's a good point.
It's just bizarre, and I can't really wrap my mind around anything because everything has been so blurred, and our words have been so obscured and.
Well, it's like subversive shit has been put into our language in its origin, to a degree. So you just have to know what the fuck you're talking about.
And the English language is like completely different than it was 50 years ago.
Yep, true.
And it seems like people are too scared of being offensive or seeming mean that they'll always compromise.
Absolutely.
Being offensive and being mean is two admirable traits in our world. And once we as, you know, men understand this on a more collective level, things will start to change. It's that simple, and we will have to figure this out.
Absolutely. Like I said, words get twisted, manipulated, and weaponized in ways that make it hard to have a discourse, and then people shift goalposts of what's acceptable and what's not to try and demonize people and make it hard to hold a fucking conversation.
It's pretty worrying, and...
It shouldn't be worrying, it should be more empowering, because now you can be... Now if you were hyper offensive, hyper aggressive, you have high testosterone, you're like, you don't give a fuck if you say nigger to somebody. The more you do that, the more you are on the right side of things, and it's like inherent. You just know it.
I don't know what... I mean, I'm really not in a position to say what is best for America, but we need to do what's best for the people that have lived here longer than anybody. The people that have real stake in this country are the people that should matter. And these immigrants that come into this country aren't coming here because they want to make our country better. And I know that it's like a cliche, the JFK thing to say it's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. But
he's right.
I think that's a statement that's true. These immigrants aren't coming here because they want to make this country better. They're coming here because they want
to exploit
what this country can do for them, right?
Yeah.
They come here because it's a land of opportunity, and they want to make...
So he's basically just saying exactly what I said earlier, is that they come to exploit.
Make money, and they want to exploit us.
Bam. I'm running that back.
They come here because it's a land of opportunity, and they want to make money, and they want to exploit us.
There you go. Quote him on that. That's 100% true.
And
it's 1,000% true.
Do what's best for their families, and I don't blame them for that. I blame our government for letting them in. I don't have a problem with immigrants. I don't hate people from other countries. I respect other cultures.
I blame them. I blame them. This was something that was not done in the past. Like, nobody did this. They came over here because they had some family over here, or they literally had no other choice but to go across the sea or fucking die. And when I'm saying this, I'm saying this about like Irish, Italians, Germans, etc. You know, French, even some French. You know, they came over here for different reasons. They didn't come over here to like, yeah, let me bleed the system dry. Let me be a fucking parasite. That was not their intention. This is the intention of the new wave of immigration. Absolutely.
I don't hate people that are different from me. I actually love these other countries, and I love their culture.
I would say I don't hate them, but I'm curious as to why they're here. In the sense where it's like, if you're not American, and you don't love America, and you moved here, and when I say love it, I mean you're embracing the culture of it, that it, you know, that's ingrained into our fucking everything, into our everything, then we have a problem. It's just that simple. It's like, okay, so why aren't you going back right now? And then the reason will probably be because they're not getting their head kicked in. It's that simple. They're not getting fucking hassled.
Cultures in a lot of ways, but I don't want America to be multicultural.
Multiculturalism is satanic. There you go. It's like Jewish satanic crap.
To that extent, I want America to be defined by the people that live here, not even just this American ideal or the American dream, but I think that we as Americans should define what America stands for.
Yeah, fully agree. Fully fucking agree, man.
And not just the founding fathers, but the Puritans that came here originally, and you know, even Italian and Irish immigrants that have been here much longer than these other immigrants.
This nigga's getting based.
And even you know, African Americans, I think that they have more of a say in this country than these.
Oh. Well, they were farm equipment, so I don't know about that. They didn't come over here as citizens. They didn't come over here on equal grounds. They were so stupid that we had to use them as farm equipment. And they sucked at it to the point where we had to make machines that did it better than them. And then we tried to get rid of them, and they wouldn't leave because they're stubborn retards. So now we're stuck with them. I don't agree with that. I think blacks have to go. They're not American.
Immigrants coming in.
And I agree too, and I do think that other cultures do absolutely deserve to exist, and I love other cultures, and I do think there is a certain amount of appreciation you can have for other cultures, but you need to also be able to maintain your own culture in order to have that at all.
I think that this is detrimental to all of us. I think this is bad for black Americans just as it is white Americans, and I think
there's no such thing as a black American, so you're kind of failing on this part.
I think that our country is going in a very dangerous direction, but I think that you can see with the youth in this country that there is a change. And there was even something Trump said that reminded me of a quote of Mussolini, that the ideals of the American youth are crystalline or something like that. That America, that the American youth.
What defines the American youth? Consensus? Because we can't run consensus now. We have too many foreign people here. What defines the American youth? Do we have to go constitutional? Do we have to go to the founding fathers, what they believed? What do we have to go to? You know, probably nothing at this point. It's all been erased. But I don't believe that you can have multiculturalism and then do this, like have this sort of idea and say this in modern times. I'm just gonna rerun it.
Crystalline or something like that. That America, that the American youth are going to define this country in the future.
What is the American youth? Multiculturalism, right? So Trump said that? Yeah, okay, let's ask the youth. What are they asking? Fucking like there's like a nignog with a fucking mask on, a shiesty on, outside of a gas station. Hey, what do you think? What do you think the U.S. is? Shit, man, making money, nigga. Shit. There you go.
But that's not going to happen if you just keep letting in immigrants from other countries.
We've had an internal problem for so long that even allowing immigrants to come over is schizo. That's like schizo retard shit. Like, you're allowing people to come over. We've had fucking blacks running around robbing people, raping, killing. They're demonic. You're allowing them in here. Like, they gotta fucking go.
And I think that the young people are actually catching on to a lot of things, and I think the young people are going actually want what's best for this country, a lot of them.
Yeah, the youth are the key to the future. It's that simple. And they have been born into a world of degeneracy and very obvious problems. And I can speak about this because I have younger relatives, and they are they're probably more based than me, and they just watch TikTok all day. You know, they're the type of people to be like, I don't talk to blacks. You know, I don't talk to the N-words. We'll put it that way. I probably said nigger already, but yeah, they're hyper based, and I do believe that the future is key, and it'll turn out good.
With all my cynicism, that is one thing that does give me some hope, is that young people are starting to change and starting to see the problems. Now, granted, I have my own issues and criticisms with young people, but I do think that there are some promising things you see with the youth of the country.
I think that a lot of the younger generations are actually more conservative than the older generations. The older generations want this sort of Zionist, globalist, neoconservative kind of government, and the young...
Yeah, especially my generation. They are hyper globalist, hyper multicultural, left-wing kind of the kind of type. And I grew up around these people that were like, you know, everybody should... I got friends that are from everywhere. It's like, okay, well, what do you do for a living, though? It's like, oh, drugs. So, you know, I think the new generation is kind of figuring this shit out. They're trying to pull themselves up and address the issues. So, yeah, I agree.
Younger people want a more nationalist, traditionally conservative Christian America. And I think that we really should let the young people decide what this country should be. That the young people that were born in this country and have not ancestral roots, but they do have stronger ancestral ties. They do have a better understanding of what this country represents than the illegals that are coming in. And not even just the illegals, but the illegals that are coming in. I mean, there's legal Haitians where I live, and they don't give a shit about people around here. They're taking...
Yeah, well, Haitians are not human beings. It's like, this is a... This is the ultimate red pill, is realizing that third worlders are not human, and they're like they're like orcs. You have to look in this in like a Dungeons and Dragons way. You have humans, and then you have orcs and goblins, and Haitians are definitely like fucking... They're like a cross between orcs and goblins. They're orcoids. And once you figure this out, and realize they're not human, even though they portray... Sometimes they can act like they may be human, but they're not. They're monsters, so you can't have them coming into your country. They will fuck it up. They'll only do crime, and the ones that don't do crime are going to pop out more criminals. It's like, it's a whole fucking cycle, and it's the same way with blacks. Blacks are just like orcs. They're not humans. They're not... We can't put them on the same level.
Jobs from people and doing them worse than the people that were born here would do those jobs.
Yeah, they're lazy. They would just rather steal your shit and crack your fucking head open and rape you. That's... I mean, look at prison. I mean, there you go. Look at prison. Look at when things are isolated outside of society. What do you have? Rape? Death? They'd rather just fucking attack you and take your shit. They don't want to do anything. They don't give a fuck. They don't have any foresight. They don't. Their foresight is, man, I ain't gonna be hungry. Man, shit. I'm the boss, nigga. That's their foresight. There you go. What are you gonna do?
You know, they're inconsiderate of other people. They're rude. They think that that we owe them something. They don't speak the language. They don't care to learn the language.
Yeah, they're orcs.
And they do half-ass jobs, or even they don't even do their jobs. And there's significant consequences for that. And even Indian workers. There's a lot of Indian workers around here too that don't care.
Yeah, Indians are like goblins.
About Americans. They don't speak English very well, and they have the same problems of laziness. They don't want to help us, and they don't want to listen to us or work with us. And you know, I've tried with people. You know, I try being polite and understanding people.
Yeah, politeness is a white thing. They don't give a fuck about that. They'd rather you be rude, but on their side. That's like a nigger thing.
and but they don't respect me.
Yeah, that's true.
They'd really be like, man, fuck these niggas, man. Like, if you said that to a black guy, he'd be like, hell yeah. Hey, shit, man, you alright. That's just niggers. They're not... They're orcs. I don't know any other way to put it. They're orcs. And you cannot include them in human society. They're fucking orcs.
There's a lot of them that just half-ass everything, too. It's really frustrating. And granted, I have met plenty of immigrants, both legal and illegal, who are good workers, and I actually like his people, too. But the overwhelming majority...
Yeah, but you were compromising yourself by... You definitely were like, oh, man, if only this guy was white. I guarantee you.
Of a lot of them is that they just fucking don't care. They see it for just, like, they're using it. Like I said, it's a fucking system they can just milk and leech off of.
And I don't know, I don't want to live with these people. I want to live with people that are polite and nice. I want to live with...
And another thing is people will be like, oh, I like this guy. You want to know why you liked him? And this is like coming from a white guy's perspective. You liked him because he was acting more like a white guy. That's why you liked him. You're like, wait, this guy's kind of almost white, but he thinks some things are retarded. Like, but no, you're basing it off of that premise, you know.
With the people, my community, and the community around here, the people that really are from here, are really nice people. They're really polite. They wave to you. They will come over and want to help you. There's so many people that have tried to help me with my job. Everybody's always wanting to work with you and help you around here. That's from here. But these immigrants, they don't seem to care about anybody. And even these immigrant doctors, they don't seem to even care about their patients or listen to their patients.
And I don't know where Rabid Waffles lives. I can't. This is where I have to break the line, because where I live, there's none of this shit. For the most part, everybody is either white or black. So, and when I say black, I mean like, African American. So I can't fucking tell you. Like, there's really not. There's foreigners, but there's not many of them.
Snobby assholes, make jokes at the expense of their own patients, and they're just rude people. And
the only time I've dealt with that was from foreigners. As a kid, well, either foreigners or blacks. It's the only time I've dealt with that.
They half-ass their jobs too, and that's really bad. If you're a doctor and you're half-assing it, those are people's lives you're putting at risk. And there's serious problems here.
Yeah, we really do need to get back to a sense of community. There needs to be shared morals and a shared culture and a sense of giving a shit about each other.
And we're getting back to that right now.
And it's really hard to have that when you're mass importing all these other people that don't give a shit and have different values.
And I don't think Donald Trump's going to fix that. He wants Chinese workers.
Donald Trump's not doing anything. This has to be done on a local, personal level. Donald Trump is not going to fix anything. People that think Donald Trump is going to do anything are cucked. Let's put it that way.
And Indian workers and things like that. I don't think Donald Trump really gives a damn about Americans. I think he only cares about him and his elite friends.
Based. I'll tell you what, Rabid Waffles, you figured it out. Towards the end.
It's really unfortunate. And, I partly saw this coming. I didn't think it would be this bad, but it was kind of just... If Donald Trump cared about America and he was a real nationalist, he would have never been elected president in the first place. He would have never made money in this country, because the only way you make money in this country is if you're a Zionist and you agree with the agenda that's being pushed.
So he did a lot of yapping, but he came to the realization within his own head towards the end. You know what, Rabid Waffles, you're a good guy. I like it.
That's the only way you make it in the government. That's the only way you make it. They make money in this country, is if you're willing to work with the people that are trying to subvert the culture and destroy the country. I mean, I even had a relative who's works in pharmaceuticals, I guess, and I heard him on the phone, and he was talking with these other pharmaceutical guys about how they need to change the culture, and that concerned me. Why are pharmaceutical companies wanting to change the culture?
Jews.
What does pharmaceuticals have to do with the culture?
Jews.
So that's pretty worrying. What is that? What's the connection between drugs and culture there?
Well, they're going. Like I said, they want to make everybody reliant on pharmaceuticals and science. and to mix everybody in the melting pot and have everybody a part of every culture. So every culture is valued equally because you're all mixed within a million different cultures. Like, oh, I'm part German, but I'm also part Swahili, and I'm also part Venezuelan. That's what they want the United States to be, and they want to spread that across the world so that everybody is exactly the fucking same. They're a brown, modified freak mix, and they want everybody to believe in the same values that they put forth. So whatever they fucking put forth, you have to believe in it. That's what they want.
What are they wanting to change? It's pretty worrying, and I don't know. I can't wrap my head around what's going on fully. But but I think we should be optimistic, anyways, because look at the youth and what the youth are saying. The youth want nationalism. They want things to be better for their families, and they care about ancestry. They care about the people that have lived in this country longest, and I think that the youth in this country, I mean, inevitably they have to be the ones in power eventually, but the only chance that that's not going to happen is if we let in a lot of these immigrants, you know. But the boomers, they have to die eventually, you know. Eventually they have to die. They're getting old. And
now, this is going to be anti-boomer hatred, but I think a lot of these boomers had figured this shit out as they got older. They started to understand, okay, I was a fucking idiot. At least where I live, like I've heard many boomers be like, "Damn, dude, y'all have it fucked." And yeah, they have, you know, warmed up to the anti-Israel stuff, the anti-Jewish stuff, etc. The anti you know, multiculturalism, globalism stuff. But I live in the deep south, so, you know, it's probably different where Rabid Waffles and Fugativeredeye live, but here it's like people have kind of been like, yeah, this shit's ass. We need to actually form a community. And that's why it's sad to see some of these boomers go to pass. Now, some of them, don't get me wrong, I'll talk to some of them, and they'll be like, well, Israel is our greatest ally. And I'm just like, man, well, good thing you're dying soon. You know? Or, well, the thing is, they hate white people, and Israelites are white. And the people in Israel, the Jews, are all Ashkenazi, so they're white. And I'm like, damn. Yo, you got any cancer? You got cancer, buddy? But it's like, there's the other ones that are from the South. Most of these are implants, you know, the ones that are from the fucking South that are like southern rednecks and shit. They're the ones that are like, man, tell you what, I did the research back in the mine I used to work in. Come to find out, there's all a bunch of Jews running it. I'm like, yeah. So there's hope for the South. That's all I care about.
And their control over the world is fading, and they know it is, and that's why they're afraid, and that's why they're pushing this propaganda more now.
Yeah, facts.
Now than they've ever done before, is because they know that they're going to lose control, and they're scared.
That reminds me of a quote I heard from Michael Malice. I don't think it's actually one of his original quotes, and I might be paraphrasing slightly, but the quote goes something to the effect of, if everything was under control, the propaganda wouldn't be necessary.
Damn. Yo, the hit's fucking hard. Yeah, that's solid. That's solid.
So be optimistic, because the people that are in power...
Be optimistic? I'm glad this fucking guy said that. Yes, be optimistic. If you're a man, have some fucking balls, okay? Be optimistic. Being pessimistic is a woman's thing. Be fucking optimistic, have some balls, and know that you can always make measures better. People say, oh, it makes measures worse. You can always make measures better as a man. Do what you gotta fucking do. Start lifting weights, start fucking beating people up, whatever you gotta do. Be a man. Grow the fuck up.
Or the originally
Irish moment.
know that we're going to get them. You know, they know that their world is going.
They know they're dead. They know that we're getting fucking crazy and they're dead.
To end. That's why they're afraid about this Epstein list coming out. That's why they were afraid about the JFK files coming out, because they know that we
they're
can
dead.
see what the agenda is, and we are against them. And a large part of this is the youth versus the old. And ironically, the youth want to return to an older, more traditional way of doing things. Kind of ironically, I don't think it's kind of strange, the phenomenon that's happening, where the youth are more traditionalist and the older ones are the ones that are pushing for this global democratization and this.
It's all about who has been psyoped harder, and the kids growing up now grew up in the internet era where they have the ability to decipher things on their own terms, and once that becomes a thing, you know, they have the ability to figure out what is poisonous to them and what is good. And that's really what we're dealing with right now. They're understanding that a lot of this bullshit they've been fed is bad. It's like meant to destroy them and fuck them up. And they're sort of latching on to old ways, which is very good.
Immigration, these foreign wars, and the young people, you know, they just want to be left alone. They want to leave other people alone, and a lot of people will give shit to these white nationalists.
Well, there's a term called "don't tread on me," and that's sort of what a lot of people are adopting now, is the original idea, not the, you know, the redneck retard having a bumper sticker that says "don't tread on me," but he's, like, dating a Mexican. No, they're adopting the original version of that, which is just like, I have sanctity over my own actions, which is essentially what "don't tread on me" meant originally. And yeah, hard agree. We're actually going to run that back. I'm kind of like talking over these motherfuckers.
They just want, and they want to leave other people alone, and a lot of people will give shit to these white nationalists, but these white nationalists, you have to, I know that there's a lot of things that they say that I don't agree with either. I don't agree with white nationalism, I don't agree with segregation, but...
You don't agree with segregation? You must not live around a lot of niggers. You don't agree with segregation? Yo, have you ever, like, had a fucking nigger just crash out? And when I say this, I mean you've had, like, 50 instances of a nigger crashing out in front of you and fucking stealing shit, or, like making a fucking scene, trying to fight you. You probably don't live in the South, but this is a thing in the South. They are fucking retarded, and they have to go. It's that simple. They're the biggest piece of shit ever. They do all the crimes. They're scum. They gotta go.
But if you...
No, fuck segregation. They gotta go. It's at that point. Like, segregation? Oh, man, I wish that'd work. They would just come over here and start robbing us. They'd be like, man, I don't give a fuck about segregation, nigga. I'm about to rob your ass. We kill him. We get in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that shit. They gotta go. They're not... They're orcs.
Listen to the rhetoric. It's very different from the neoconservative rhetoric. The neoconservatives are very pro-war, and the neoconservatives are more racist than the white nationalists.
Racism is a Jewish term. Okay, what racism means is acknowledging that races are different. Well, it's acknowledging races in general. There's races of people. There's Africans, and those are even broken up. There's, North Africans, there's Sub-Saharan Africans, there's Europeans, there's East Europeans, there's Northern Europeans, there's Southern Europeans, there's Western Europeans, there's Asians, there's Southeast Asians, etc. Racism is good, and racism being a vilified term is fucking crazy to me. But, what are you gonna do?
White national.
What are you gonna do for a modern guy?
Rhetoric. The neoconservatives are very pro-war, and the neoconservatives are more racist than the white nationalists. The white nationalists have more respect.
I think you mean that they're more derogatory in terms of race than the white nationalists, which is probably true to a degree, where it's very easy to determine where their alliances lie.
for other cultures, and they don't want to go to war. They want to leave other countries alone. They want the
Yeah, if we don't have to war, there's no need to war. It's that simple.
and they want other races and countries to leave them alone. They want a mutual respect among other racial nationalist groups, whereas the neoconservatives want to kill Muslims for being Muslim. They want to just
Yeah, okay, I see what he means by that. Yeah, so you're talking about agendas that are put in place for Jews in Israel to exterminate Muslims. Yeah, so that's an agenda. That's people that are bought out and are on the side of the fucking Jews, dude. So like, what are you gonna do? You know, that's when you have to become anti-Semitic. It's like, oh, the Jews want all Muslims to be killed, so the U.S. has to go take them out because they're terrorists.
destroy these Muslim countries, and they want a sort of global control. And
They want a Jewish control.
nationalists don't want that. They don't want global control. They just want to be left alone and to have their own country.
Yeah, and then I think there's a lot of whites that have understood that if we go and segregate ourselves and establish our own homelands and whatnot and our own nations, that no matter what, the Jews will always like let's say we left them to their own shit, they will always try to infiltrate us. They're birthed by the devil, like they're demonic, and they will always try to fucking infiltrate us and take over because it's in their fucking lore that they have to kill us off and take over the world, and eventually they're gonna have to be exterminated. It's that simple. And this is gonna get Mossad after me, but who cares?
So, you know, you can call them extremists and you can hate them, but they're more on your side than the neoconservatives are. They care
Well, yeah, of course.
more about your well-being than these neocons that hate
Yeah.
you. You know, just give them a break, because a lot of these people are nicer people than you think, and they don't hate you, and they don't.
Oh, look, I'm a nice guy. See, yeah, this faggot's right. That was not a jab, Rabid Waffles. I had to say it.
Want you to die. They don't want to exterminate your race.
No.
All they want is to be left alone, and they don't want to be replaced. And whites are a minority.
Unless you're a Jew, in which case we're on different terms, buddy. But if you're like a black and you go to Africa and you're just living there, just live there, man. Just live your fucking best life. We don't care. Go to Asia, live your best fucking life. We do not care at all. You know, just do what you gotta do.
In the world, and
Once you fucking step on our turf, though, yo, it's wartime.
And the neoconservatives aren't helping anything in that regard. They want that the neoconservatives are just contributing to the problem of the replacement, and
They're globalists.
that new world order and things. And, you know, that's really all I wanted to say.
Well, there you go.